So, if you think things were bad in Canada with all the money laundering, disenfranchising middle class people out of their homes, government's telling us that $2,700 a month for a one-bedroom apartment should be considered affordable housing. If you're getting tired of hearing the broken story, affordability crisis, and you're hearing more and more about more distractions, people mass exodusing out of big cities for the last 10 years, housing bubbles, this, nothing making a correction, Canada dependent on dirty money to keep their markets going. Well, here's another nail for your coffin, and this should worry Canadians more than probably anything else we talked about. Raising interest rates, all this stuff. Well, watch this. People are worried as notorious U.S. equity firm Blackstone opens Toronto office. Now, this is a big deal. Now, this is how much reach or how deep these people go. Now, we've been talking about housing on this channel for the last 10 years. Now, you type in Blackstone across my channel with 5,000 videos, they're gone. Every single one of them, gone. And we've discussed, and we've even read this article from 3 years ago. UN accuses Blackstone Group of contributing to global housing crisis. World's largest corporation of residential landlords called out for their practices of inflating rents and aggressive evictions. So we talked about rent evictions and all that stuff on this show, but this is a little bit different. And we covered that. We actually read that. And I actually used this picture in the thimble, which is no longer with us anymore, the article. Anyways, not the article, the video, sorry. Blackstone, a prominent New York-based private equity firm once accused by the UN in 2019 for helping to fuel the global housing crisis, has announced that it will be opening a new office in Toronto to expand its Canadian real estate footprint. In a nutshell, why? Many Canadians are going to start defaulting on these $3, $4, $5 million homes that they bought, which they could buy in Texas for 80 grand. The same home in Texas, 80 grand. Canada, 3, 4, 5 million. Why? Because Canadian real estate is not tied to income. Canadian real estate is tied to money laundering. In red states in America, you could still buy something within the $200,000 benchmark area because wages and income are tied to real estate. Simple? Okay. So now the Canadians will be defaulting in mass in the next quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter of next year. You will see huge amounts of oversupply on the markets, and you will see people basically running to the exits. And we talked about the housing blame game already on the show. We talked about the mass exodus of people leaving, the mass exodus of people trying to make a life somewhere else. I even get emails to this day on people wanting to default and move away and start over and blah, blah, blah. It's horrendous. So this is really important, what is happening with Blackstone. So let's take a look at this. This is proving to be of some concern to those familiar with the investment company's history of making rich people even richer through various means, including indirectly funding the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest. So let's open this there so we don't... political... remember this. Political Warren says Blackstone worsening climate change and new private equity salvo. So I don't care what Elizabeth Warren has to say. But anyways, Blackstone's today announced that it is establishing a Blackstone real estate office in Toronto and the appointment of Janice Lin as head of its real estate business in Canada. Reads real estate issued by the company. So there it is right there. That's on Business Wire. Blackstone Real Estate expands presence in Canada with new office led by Janice Lin. So there it goes. Now, Blackstone has long had significant presence in Canada across its businesses, including $14 billion of real estate assets totaling approximately 450 properties. You see, you don't buy much in Canada for $14 billion. That's 450 properties. Consulting primarily of logistic Blackstone's portfolio companies across the firm employ more than 3,550 people in Canada. While Blackstone portfolio companies do exist in our home of native land, including the continuous rental company Trankion, which we talked about before, this will be Blackstone's first official real estate office in Canada. So it just goes into long-term believers, bulk resources, Canadians are concerned of a swooping buyout defaults. There it is right there. There it is right there. Some Canadians are concerned about the company swooping in to buy out defaults of struggling Canadian properties in mass for investment purposes, to taking even more housing units off the market. It's going to cause the old supply and demand trick. It's all going to raise the prices. It's the whole, we've been talking about this on the channel for many, many years. It's your typical control and corner the market. So there it is. Yahoo Finance reporting it. Venture reporting it. Who else? So there it is. You type in Blackstone across my channel, and you don't get a damn thing with 5,000 videos. But you type in money laundering, because Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK have been, and the the blue states of America have been going through this. Canada's GDP needs more money laundering, right? Australia, money laundering fiasco. World needs more money laundering. Financial crimes agencies last year alleged the lender breached anti-money laundering laws more than 23 million times. Money laundering by foreigners, destroying housing availability. This is very prominent. It's been a big problem. This is from 3 years ago. Canadian cities rate highly among the most desirable in the world, but most unaffordable. So the people living and working there can't afford to live there. Housing crisis, no investigation in money laundering. So Canada shut down the money laundering investigation in Canada, because it's gonna cause a problem, and the middle class might get their country back, but Canadian governments don't want to give people the power anymore. Toronto needs more money laundering. Vancouver model, home prices slip inflation. So Toronto's housing on life support needs more money laundering, and that's what's keeping Canada going. Now, with Blackstone making more of a presence, or making more of an appearance now in Canada, and officially putting up an office, what does that mean for Canadians? Well, again, I just believe they're just going to swoop in and buy up properties and then start. They want to federalize, in a way, housing. They don't want anyone to own anything. And that's why they've been ramping up the property taxes. I live in a small city called Merritt, BC. I'm a small business owner here, as you can see. Our property taxes, with the population of 7,000, maybe 6.5 now, since the massive floods we had, our property taxes are more than friends that I have living in Beverly Hills and Hollywood Hills. I pay more in property taxes than they do. And it's getting tough. Like, the property taxes are going to start pushing out retirees who own their homes, free and clear. They're going to be pushing out retirees that are going into retirements, that are headed to retirements, that have planned for the retirement, but they didn't plan that property taxes were going to basically be more money in the so-called future, in the so-called way. You know, it's hard to tell people, guess what? This guy, it's like, is paying more in property tax than he does for his mortgage. That's where it's going to come to. But the problem is, it's like saying, for me as a small business, I can't ship this board game, right? Because I'm not Amazon, or I'm not because the shipping on this board game to anywhere in Canada will cost me more than the board game itself. And that's how they got us. Same thing. Buddy's paying more in taxes for his home than he is paying on his mortgage. That's going to get to that in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, and all that. In Australia, they have stamp duty. It's a little bit different. But I wanted to throw this out there because it's very important, right? Canada's been under home invasion by foreign entities, and our local and federal governments won't allow us to take back what's ours, take back and start giving the people back the power in the private sector and letting us, take care of business. And that's the problem we have right now. Too dependent on government, and government, I think government is over 50% now of the working class citizens in Canada. They're going to get raises so they can continue working for the government, so they could pay their bills. The people in the private sector are going to be the ones that basically have to front the bill for their ventures, and they'll just tax us out of oblivion. Let me know, Blackstone moving to Canada or making it official. Why? Well, so people know and understand why, and what the positions are, and what they're not going to make anything better. Just like the money laundering didn't make anything better. It made homeowners wealthy overnight, but now their kids can't eat. Oh, he's got a college degree. That doesn't matter. If you're in Canada, you're screwed. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. We'll talk on the flip side. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.